It started before the sun rose. I remember the floor was cold beneath my feet. The air still carried silence, but in that silence, I found clarity. I didn't want to get up, but I did. Not because I felt ready, but because I was becoming someone who no longer waited to feel ready. If this already resonates with the part of you that's tired of waiting, comment, "This is the day I rise." Let it be your first act of discipline, not loud, not forced. Just a quiet decision that you no longer need permission to begin. You already have it. Back then, no one saw it. No applause, no audience, just me and the choice. Every morning. Excellence wasn't built in the spotlight, it was built in silence. It was built when I stood up, even when every part of me wanted to stay down. The world waits for a perfect moment. I learned there isn't one. There's only this one, this day, this hour. And so I created a rhythm, a ritual of clarity. While others scrolled, I wrote. While others rushed, I prepared. Not to impress, but to become. Discipline isn't loud, it's quiet. It's in how you brush your teeth, how you sit with your thoughts, how you show up when no one is watching. And most days, no one was watching, but I was. And that was enough to keep going. The old version of me loved comfort, snooze buttons, excuses wrapped in logic. But that version wasn't building wealth, he was rehearsing regret. So I let him go. Not all at once, but moment by moment, breath by breath, morning by morning. I wrote my goals daily, not because they were new, but because I needed to remember who I was becoming. My mornings became less about hustle and more about harmony, less about urgency, more about alignment. And in that alignment, I found peace. There were still doubts, still foggy mornings, still resistance, but I met it with rhythm. I met it with repetition, because excellence isn't about how you feel, it's about how you follow through, especially when you don't feel like it. One day I looked at myself and said, "You're not proving anything anymore, you're practicing." That shift changed everything. I stopped seeking permission. I started honoring a standard, and that standard wasn't negotiable anymore. If you're still watching this, it means there's a voice in you rising, a version of you tired of pausing. Let today be that shift. Comment, "I follow through, even in silence." And keep going. The world will catch up to what you're building quietly. My routine wasn't perfect, but it was mine. It was built through effort, not aesthetics. I didn't need the perfect playlist, the perfect coffee, the perfect plan. I needed consistency. And once I stopped chasing perfection, I found power in repetition. I stopped negotiating with my lower self, the part of me that whispered, "Just 5 more minutes." I replaced that voice with a new one that said, 5 more steps, 5 more pages, 5 more decisions toward the man I'm becoming. You don't become excellent by accident. You don't stumble into greatness. You build it quietly, daily, through choices that look small to others but are sacred to you. Your discipline is your signature. Make it bold, even when no one sees it. The mornings others wasted, I used to sharpen my vision. While they replayed yesterday, I was designing tomorrow. The secret isn't in the hours you have. It's in what you do before the noise begins. That's when the real work happens. I stopped trying to feel ready. Readiness is a myth. Commitment is real. And once I chose commitment, everything became simpler. Not easier, but simpler. I wasn't wrestling with doubt. I was walking with decision. And that changed everything. Now it's your turn to ground yourself. Comment, "I honor my future with today's decisions." Write it as a quiet agreement with yourself. Because this is no longer about hype. It's about truth. And your truth begins in the patterns no one claps for. People ask me what changed, and the answer is always the same. I changed my mornings. I stopped waiting for life to impress me and started preparing myself to impress life. I led the day before the day could lead me, and I never looked back. No one celebrates a man for waking up early. No one applauds you for journaling or walking in silence, but those are the things that make you powerful. Because success isn't what people see, it's what you become when no one is watching. I built a system, not complicated, not flashy, just consistent. And in that system I planted seeds of clarity, purpose, patience. The harvest didn't show up in a week, but it came. And when it did, it felt earned, not given. So if you're still here, hear this. Your life doesn't change all at once. It shifts in the dark, in the quiet, in the ordinary. But you must choose, today, again and again, to walk it. Because that's what daily excellence demands, your presence. Some mornings I didn't want to move, but I did. Not to chase a result, but to remain faithful to who I said I was. That's the test. Will you stay loyal to your future even when your feelings beg you to fold? I chose loyalty. That's where power lives. Excellence didn't come from doing more. It came from doing the right things with full presence. A short walk, a quiet journal, a cold glass of water. I wasn't chasing intensity. I was practicing alignment, and alignment is wealth in motion. When I started rising with purpose, the world responded differently, not overnight, but gradually. Doors opened, voices quieted, focus sharpened. Because the universe respects discipline, it echoes your consistency in ways you can't predict. Now lock it in. Comment, "My mornings belong to purpose, not panic." Say it below as a quiet anchor, because when your mornings become intentional, your life becomes undeniable. This is your rhythm now. Protect it. I realized most people don't lack time, they leak time. Through distraction, through hesitation, through the morning chaos. But I made a decision. I would meet my mornings with stillness, not noise, with vision, not reaction. That was the edge. Discipline didn't make me rigid, it made me free. Free from overthinking, free from guilt, free from regret. Because I wasn't chasing motivation, I was moving with momentum. And momentum is created through movement, not mood. Some mornings I felt like I was behind, but I reminded myself, this isn't a race, this is a rhythm. And rhythm has no competition. It's not about doing more than others. It's about becoming more of who I promised to be. That's the only win that matters. I didn't always believe in myself, but I believed in my ability to show up. And that was enough. Excellence isn't about certainty. It's about commitment. And when you commit long enough, belief catches up to you like a shadow you didn't know you had. I used to seek peace through results. Now I create results through peace. That shift changed everything because excellence isn't built in chaos. It's built in calm, in clarity, in quiet decisions stacked like bricks, one morning at a time. And if no one claps, that's fine. If no one notices, that's fine. Because you're not performing, you're becoming. You're not waiting, you're walking, quietly, powerfully, faithfully. This is daily excellence, and it's already yours. There were days I felt unseen. My growth was invisible, my effort unnoticed. But that's when I realized visibility is not the goal. Alignment is. I didn't rise for praise. I rose for purpose, and that purpose gave meaning to every silent step. If you're walking through the quiet part of your journey right now, comment, "I rise even when no one is watching." Let the world know that your excellence doesn't need an audience. It only needs your decision. You're not behind, you're becoming. The world is loud, but transformation is quiet. It doesn't shout, it doesn't ask for attention, it asks for action. Steady, personal, faithful action. That's how I grew. Not in noise, but in rhythm. That's where mastery lives. Excellence isn't a goal, it's a lifestyle. It's not something I tried, it's something I trained. And like any training, it wasn't always exciting, but the results, life-changing. Because excellence makes success sustainable. I stopped relying on intensity and started depending on structure. Intensity burns fast, structure endures, and I needed a life that didn't collapse every time pressure appeared. So I built habits that held me when emotion couldn't. I learned to prepare, not react, to lead, not wait, to align, not hustle. These weren't just ideas, they became my posture. I woke up as the man I wanted to be, even before the world gave me permission to be him. No one will give you the life you dream about. No one will carve your calendar. You must protect it. You must own it. That's what I did. I took my mornings off the market. They were no longer for sale. They were reserved for my future. I realized the greatest form of self-respect is consistency, not perfection, not performance, but the quiet, honest effort to keep showing up, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient. That's what shapes a leader. Excellence doesn't come from fixing everything. It comes from doing the next right thing with full presence. So I stopped trying to change my whole life. I started winning my mornings, and my mornings started changing everything else. There is power in living your values before they're validated, in honoring your vision before it becomes visible. That's what daily excellence teaches you. Success isn't an event. It's the reward for a lifestyle few are willing to commit to. It wasn't sudden, but one day I noticed the shift. My mind was sharper, my emotions steadier, my energy cleaner. People began to ask what changed, and I smiled because the answer wasn't new. It was old, ancient even. I chose discipline. They saw the result, but they didn't see the reps, the quiet mornings, the unseen choices, the moments I said no to distraction and yes to alignment. That's what built the life I now live. Not luck, not timing, just daily excellence. When you commit to yourself consistently, life starts to mirror that. Opportunities come, people shift. You're no longer chasing your goals. They begin to meet you where you stand, because you're finally standing where you belong. Excellence creates gravity. People feel it. Without you saying a word, they notice your energy, your calm, your clarity, and they want to know how you got it. The answer: mornings, discipline, identity, one act of integrity at a time. I stopped needing motivation because I had momentum. My days no longer began with doubt. They began with decisions already made. And that made my mind lighter, my focus stronger, and my results inevitable. That's the reward of rhythm. There's peace in knowing who you are, in waking up without needing to prove, perform, or compare. I knew I was walking a path few would choose, but I also knew that peace is better than praise. And excellence gives you both. I used to hope for breakthroughs. Now I build them, quietly, repetitively, unemotionally, because success isn't magical, it's mathematical. It's repetition plus time plus identity. That's the formula, and it works every single time. If this formula is landing in your spirit, write it below. Comment: I build breakthroughs through daily excellence. Let that be your echo into the future. Because this isn't a video anymore. It's your new standard, and it begins right now. I don't wake up hoping for success. I wake up as success. Because success is no longer something I chase. It's something I practice. And when you practice something long enough, you stop pretending and start embodying it. This is your turning point. Not a moment of hype, but of harmony. The place where emotion meets execution, where identity meets action. You've walked with me this far. Now walk with yourself into a life led by quiet power and daily excellence. The version of me you admire, he was forged in quiet. He wasn't born that way. He was chosen, built, refined through early decisions, hard mornings, and long stretches without validation. But that's the beauty of it. No one gave it to me. I earned it. When your discipline becomes your rhythm, people feel it. You don't have to announce your growth, you embody it. And those who were once ahead of you, they pause, they wonder. Because suddenly, your pace isn't frantic, it's focused. I learned that power isn't about volume, it's about precision. The precise thoughts I allowed, the precise habits I chose, the precise identity I committed to, before anyone believed in me. That's how you become unstoppable. When people ask me now, what's your secret? I say this: my mornings are sacred. They're not scheduled around noise. They're built on clarity. And in that clarity, I found the most powerful tool of all: alignment. And alignment makes you magnetic. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, but it was faithful. Daily excellence turned into internal peace. That peace turned into power, and that power, it began inspiring others without me even trying. That's when I knew this was bigger than me. If you feel that shift rising within you, comment, "My excellence is becoming my example." Let your future self hear your voice today. You're not just building success for you, you're building a standard that will echo into others. That's real influence. Your quiet discipline will do more for the world than your loud intentions ever could, because real leadership isn't volume, it's vision, it's presence. And every quiet morning you claim becomes a beacon for someone still lost in the dark. Excellence leaves fingerprints in the way you walk, the way you listen, the way you breathe when others panic. That presence becomes your legacy, and it begins long before success is visible. It begins in the invisible, every single day. At some point, I realized I wasn't trying anymore, I was. Excellence became who I was, not what I did. That shift brought freedom, and with that freedom came influence, because the most powerful people don't force, they attract. Now you know what I know, that you don't chase excellence, you live it. And when you live it long enough, the world adapts to your presence. This is your legacy in motion, and it all begins tomorrow morning, before the world wakes up. Excellence isn't just personal, it's contagious. People watch how you carry yourself. They feel your calm in chaos. They notice how you're present when others are distracted. And that's when you realize your discipline is now leadership. There's no need to convince anyone when you embody the results. Your clarity speaks, your calm speaks, your rhythm speaks. While others post and preach, you walk. And in that walk, people see something different, something they want to follow. Your morning is no longer about tasks, it's about becoming. Each small decision is now a brushstroke in your masterpiece. And excellence? It's not the end result, it's the way you hold the brush, with care, focus, and presence. If your life is becoming that painting, comment, "My rhythm is now my leadership." Let others feel the strength of that statement. Quiet strength, the kind that doesn't scream, but shifts rooms just by walking in. You'll notice people asking, "What changed?" They won't see the early mornings, they won't feel the discomfort you embraced, but they'll see the result. Not in your words, but in your energy. That's when you know the formula worked. Your consistency becomes your credibility, not your titles, not your past, not your followers, your rhythm. And when people can count on your rhythm, they start to trust your presence. That's when your voice carries weight. I didn't try to inspire others. I just stayed faithful to my rhythm. And in time, others adjusted to it. They asked questions. They leaned in. Because your lifestyle is the loudest message you'll ever preach. Make sure it aligns with your values. Every legacy starts with one decision: to stop waiting, to start walking, to stop proving, to start becoming. And once you choose that path, daily excellence is no longer something you strive for. It becomes who you are. I don't need reminders anymore. I am the reminder. Every breath I take before the world wakes up reminds me who I am. Every action I take in silence reminds me where I'm going. This is what it means to lead yourself first. So now I ask you, will you keep waiting for the right time, or will you make this moment the right one? Because excellence isn't built in someday, it's built in this day, and you've already chosen to rise. I no longer chase momentum, I create it, and I create it through rhythm, through the same steps others overlook. The difference, I do them with intention, And when you move with intention, even the smallest act becomes powerful. If you're moving with intention today, comment, every action I take is aligned with who I'm becoming. This isn't hype, it's harmony. You're not rushing anymore, you're aligned. And aligned people don't compete, they attract. My schedule isn't full of noise, it's full of purpose. I don't do everything, I do what matters. I don't answer every call. I answer the call of who I'm becoming. That's what excellence sounds like, clarity over chaos. Excellence taught me this. Simplicity is strength. While others complicate their growth with scattered goals and scattered energy, I stay steady. I don't need more, I need meaning. And meaning lives in the moment I claim the day as mine. People search for motivation. I search for rhythm. Motivation fades, rhythm sustains. And every time I chose rhythm over rush, I found peace. And peace, not pressure, is the birthplace of power. Discipline didn't turn me into a machine. It turned me into a man I respect, because there's no success worth chasing if you lose respect for yourself in the process. And that's what mornings gave me back. Self-respect. I built a life I no longer need a vacation from, not because every day is perfect, but because every day is aligned. And when you're aligned, even the difficult days have purpose. Even the silence is meaningful. The old version of me needed praise. This version, he needs peace, and peace comes when your actions match your identity. I stopped pretending. I started embodying, and life began responding differently. You can feel when someone is centered, when they're no longer performing but living, when they no longer talk about values, they walk them. And those are the people the world quietly follows. Not the loudest, the most aligned. That's who you're becoming. Not someone who needs noise to feel valuable, someone who leads with quiet excellence. And one day, someone will ask how you did it. You'll smile and say, I stopped running and started rising. The truth is, most people know what to do, but few become what it takes to do it daily. You don't need more tips, you need a decision. And when you make that decision every single morning, you stop chasing growth. You become it. I didn't set out to impress anyone. I set out to master myself. And the more I did, the less I needed from others. Approval faded, performance faded, and in its place, peace, purpose, presence. The world still rushes, still scrolls, still compares, but I move differently now, because when you've learned to master your mornings, the rest of the day bends to you, not because you control it, because you're anchored. There's a level of self-trust that only rhythm can build. When you've shown up enough times, the doubt fades. You no longer wonder if you'll follow through. You already are. That's when discipline becomes destiny. I don't wait for clarity. I create it through movement, through breath, through honoring one more quiet commitment. And each one stacks until you no longer need the future to feel certain, because you're living like it's already here. I stopped trying to convince people I changed. I just changed, and the world noticed when it was ready, not when I needed it to. And that's real transformation. It doesn't beg for recognition. It walks with it. Your habits are no longer rules. They're reflections of who you are, of what you stand for. And now others will learn from your example, because you're no longer just motivated. You're mastered. If that mastery is now your truth. Comment, I am no longer trying, I am living it. Let it be your signature, not to impress, but to affirm the identity you've already chosen. And that identity is leading the way now. Leadership isn't what you say. It's how you live when no one's listening. It's how you move when the world's distracted. It's the decision to be excellent, not because of the reward, but because it's who you've become. I look in the mirror now, and I don't see a goal. I see a man who rose, a man who didn't wait for motivation, applause, or permission. He just rose, and day by day, that man became me. That man is now you too. Excellence no longer lives in my journal. It lives in my posture, in how I show up, in how I breathe before I respond, in how I keep promises that no one hears but me. That's the evidence, not the talk, the walk. I didn't get here by accident. I didn't drift into clarity. I designed it, not in one grand moment, but in 1,000 small ones, mornings, decisions, movements, all invisible to the world, until now. Don't underestimate the power of your consistency. Not everyone will understand it, but the ones who need to feel it will. Your life has become a message, one of alignment, peace, and internal strength. And that message will echo far beyond you. It used to be about proving, now it's about providing space, example, possibility. Your discipline is no longer just personal, it's generational. And what begins with a morning ritual can ripple through legacies. If your legacy has already begun, comment, "My example is louder than my words." Let this moment mark the shift from ambition to impact. You've stopped striving. You're simply living truth. And that truth is powerful. I don't fear falling behind anymore. I fear losing alignment. Because success without peace is failure in disguise. And peace is built through daily alignment, minute by minute, step by step, quietly, faithfully. This is what it means to lead from within, to shape the day instead of being shaped by it, to bring energy instead of chasing it, to hold yourself accountable before anyone else does. That's mastery, and it lives inside you now. Let others chase quick wins. Let them chase hype, trends, attention. You move differently because you've met the version of you that doesn't chase anymore. He creates, he builds, he embodies. This isn't the end of the video. It's the beginning of your next level. From here on, your mornings will carry meaning. Your days will reflect it. And your life, it will speak louder than you ever could. That is daily excellence. You're no longer reacting to the world, you're responding to your future. And that shift, small, steady, internal, is what separates the crowd from the uncommon. The world rewards the aligned, and you are now aligned. Your old identity would have stopped here, paused here, said, "That's enough." But this version of you, he continues, because discipline is no longer effort, it's expression. You're not showing up to impress anymore. You're showing up because you said you would. That's deeper than hype. It's deeper than drive. It's who you are now. And that is unshakable power. If this has become your way of being, comment, "Discipline is who I am now." Let it seal your transformation. Let it remind your future self that you didn't just watch this, you lived it. And you'll keep living it. You no longer need the crowd, you have your compass, and the man with a compass never fears the storm, because storms pass, but rhythm remains, and rhythm leads you home, again and again. Excellence is no longer your goal, it's your default, because you've done it enough times to become it, and when others ask how, you won't tell them. You'll show them, through presence, through rhythm, through you. You don't need bigger goals. You need deeper habits. You don't need more motivation. You need fewer distractions. You've simplified your path, and in that simplicity, you've found your edge. You've walked far, but you're just getting started because this journey never ends. It expands. You don't graduate from discipline. You grow through it every morning, every breath. And when the world feels heavy again, when doubt returns, when silence feels uncomfortable, remember this video, remember this moment, and remember who you've already proven yourself to be. You've become the version of you that you once hoped to meet, the man who leads, who moves with peace, who inspires without speaking, who creates without asking, and who wakes up before the world with purpose. You're not just waking up early, you're waking up aligned with your values, with your vision, with your voice. That's no longer a routine, it's a ritual, a sacred promise that tomorrow belongs to the intentional. Others will wonder how you changed. They'll ask what motivated you, but they won't understand. It wasn't motivation. It was rhythm. It was identity. It was the quiet excellence that no one saw, but you never skipped. Now you walk with stillness. You don't need to push. You pull, not by force, but by frequency, because your energy says what your words no longer need to. This is mastery, and mastery moves in silence. You've become a mirror. People see your peace and ask where it came from. They feel your focus and crave their own. You've stopped preaching. You've started being. And that shift is the loudest sermon the world will ever hear. The real reward isn't what you gained, it's who you became. Someone who doesn't need to win the world's approval because you already own your mornings. And if you own your mornings, you own your life. You didn't get here by accident. You got here by choosing rhythm over excuses, stillness over noise, truth over trends. And now, excellence doesn't just live in you, it leads you. Your future self is watching. He's proud because you stopped waiting. You stopped doubting. You took the first step in silence, and the world never saw it coming, but they'll see the result. You're not finishing a video. You're closing the gap between who you were and who you're becoming. And now you have proof that discipline works, that rhythm transforms, that alignment frees, and that it's all already inside you. So tomorrow, when the world still sleeps, you'll rise, not because you have to, but because it's who you are now. You're no longer chasing the morning, you are the morning, steady, clear, powerful. If this message lives in you now, comment, "I lead my life before the world wakes up," and carry that truth with you, not just into tomorrow, but into the legacy you're already writing, one morning at a time, with excellence.